Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Back to you. I'm going to go to Bobby in Teddington if she's still on the line, because you were ringing up to cheerlead for Boris, Bobby. I wonder how you'd like to respond to this latest development.
Well, I can't tell you how saddened I am, and I know that a lot of people I know will be equally saddened. The reason that the vote leave was successful was due to following him. He's been an excellent mayor. He's a very solid person, a fantastic communicator.
What's his greatest achievement as mayor, do you think?
Well, everything. I mean, he was into buildings and...
no, but in terms of something concrete that you could hang a manifesto on, what can you point at and say, that is Boris's legacy? Because my position is the opposite of yours. I just wonder what evidence you've got, because I've got loads.
I'm just in general, in the bikes, and everything that
bikes
he's
were
done.
Ken's idea.
His interest in hospitals, housing...
His interest in hospitals,
he's been majorly going on about. But this is a general thing to say, that why I'm saddened that he's not going to be... It was somebody earlier said, we don't really know, but actually he has done a tremendous amount. He's a solid person. He's a loyal person. We need somebody who's a communicator. We don't need a po-faced person, and we don't need somebody that runs with the hounds and stabs people in the back. I just think that he, with all of his beliefs in the NHS and everything else...
Bobby, I don't want to fall out with you, but you're not describing Boris Johnson.
What do you mean I'm not describing Boris Johnson?
Well, he hasn't kept a promise in his life. You can't name a single achievement that you think he managed to pull off as mayor. All he came up with was the bikes, and they were Ken Livingstone's idea.
Well, you're obviously not a Boris fan. And
no, it's not a question. I'm a fact fan. I'm a fact fan.
He can communicate, and that's what we need when somebody goes over to negotiate. And
okay, what has he communicated to you as his main achievement? Just give me one big achievement as mayor. Because let me run through a few for. Let's look at homelessness in the first place. He promised that if he became mayor, he'd totally eradicate rough sleeping on the streets of London by 2012. The line was, "It's scandalous that in 21st century London people have to resort to sleeping in the streets." The number has doubled. He pledged in 2008 that he would not close a single ticket office on the London Underground. As you know, over in Teddington, he's closed every single one. He promised on fares in the 2008 manifesto that we pay the highest fares in Europe and that he'd fix that. First year after being re-elected, he increased fares on average by 4.2% across the board, much higher than inflation. Congestion, of course, he removed the congestion zone from parts of West London. The fire service, he promised he'd never shut a single station or indeed withdraw a single appliance. That was in 2010. He's actually closed 10 fire stations and removed 27 fire engines from service, 14 of those permanently. His 9-point plan for a greater London involved police officers, a list of 9 promises sent to every household in London. Number 4 on the list was making our streets and homes safer with 1,000 more police on the beat. The number of police officers on London's streets has not risen. When he was reminded of his claim, he accused journalists of making a willful misconstruction. Council tax, he said he put £445 back in our pockets. This, it later emerged, was based on imagined savings compared to what they assumed Ken Livingstone was going to do with council tax, but had no proof. I could go on, but it's only fair to give you a chance.
We have, had a research assistant that's gone through every fact and figure. So are you trying to say that
No, I don't have a research assistant, Bobby.
I'd like to ask you a question.
When you answer mine, name one achievement.
He is someone who's got the nation's interests at heart, and
I've just listed a million lies, and all you have to do is give me one achievement.
Well, why do you think everybody followed him then? Why do you think
for the same reason you do?
Faith in him? Don't you think that when you meet him, you can tell that he's genuine and really does care about each individual and the future of this country?
Which achievement would you point to in response to that litany of lies I've just shared with you? I could continue. I could stay here till 1 o'clock listing them.
Do this to somebody else. If I'd realised it was going to be this, I could have done a research thing. This is a random call.
It's not a research thing. You've told me that he's done lots of wonderful things. I'm just asking you to name one.
I'm just saying, as a member of the public...
You really like him. That's fine.
His attitude towards the NHS, towards...
but evidence,
building,
Bobby.
that we become Great Britain again in our own right.
Yes.
And
but
trade
in terms of evidence or
Many
fact?
years ago, we were a great country, and
yes.
I'm sorry to say, I don't think we hold the tag of Great Britain any longer. And I had every faith and hope that he, with strong people behind him, would have been able to bring back the greatness of this country.
Okay,
Thank you very much indeed. I think I've said my piece.
Well, one fact, one piece of evidence, one single achievement, or that kind of rhetorical flower. No, hang on. I'm waiting for an achievement, Bobby. That's all I want from you now.
What an achievement!
Yes, of Boris Johnson's.
He followed his direction and decided that we should leave.
So his greatest achievement as London mayor, his greatest achievement as London mayor was leading a referendum campaign while he wasn't London mayor. I don't want to fall out with you. I completely understand your enthusiasm for Boris, but please don't insult me and my listeners by pretending that it's built on evidential fact or actual achievements. It's built on bluster and charm, and that's why he's such a wonderful adornment to the political landscape, and it's why he would perhaps have been a disastrous Prime Minister. But you were on the line before you knew that was never going to happen. The idea of us having research assistants, it's undiscovered, can't be wonderful. I don't do this very often, but occasionally they're so good, I think they merit a wider audience. This is one of those posts that is no doubt due to go viral. This from Facebook, a chap I don't know called Benjamin Blaine. Just bear with me on this one. I think it's worth your time and attention. So, let me get this straight. The leader of the opposition campaigned to stay, but secretly wanted to leave. So his party held a non-binding vote to shame him into resigning so that someone else could lead the campaign to ignore the result of the non-binding referendum, which many people now think was just angry people trying to shame politicians into seeing they'd all done nothing to help them. Meanwhile, the man who campaigned to leave because he hoped losing would help him with the leadership of his party accidentally won and ruined any chances of leading because the man who thought he couldn't lose did, but resigned before actually doing the thing that the vote had been about. The man who'd always thought he'd lead next campaigned so badly that everyone thought he was lying when he said the economy would crash. And he was. But it did. But he's not resigned. But, like the man who lost and the man who won, he also now can't become leader, which means the woman who quietly campaigned to stay but always said that she wanted to leave is likely to become leader instead. Which means that she holds the same view as the leader of the opposition, but for opposite reasons. But her party's view of this view is the opposite of the opposition's view. And the opposition aren't yet opposing anything because the leader isn't listening to his party, who aren't listening to the country, who aren't listening to experts, or possibly paying that much attention at all. However, none of their opponents actually want to be the one to do the thing that the vote was about, so there's not yet anything actually on the table to oppose anyway. And if no one ever does the thing that most people ask them to do, it will be undemocratic, and if anyone ever does do it, it will be awful. Are we clear now? Yes, we are. Grace is in Ealing. Grace, what would you like to say?
Well, since it's mystery hour, or should be, I want to float why it is that the Johnson's hair is so blonde and fluffy, although it might be that they're using Baby Johnson's shampoo. I wasn't surprised that he decided not to stand. You mentioned a moment ago that we're all hoping that we're going to get riches, and that's really not my view of politics. And what's been really frustrating for me throughout the referendum was figuring out which politicians really care about impoverished people. And so I quite like the look of Stephen Crabb as the next Tory leader, but I need to know more about all of them.
Fair enough. I suppose that's the danger, isn't it, on days like today when we're asking people to back horses that we don't really know that much about. But the thing that Crabb has in common with Andrea Leadsom is that we know even less about them than we do about the others. I think I can tell you something about Stephen Crabb that might put you off him immediately.
Go on.
He voted against equal marriage.
How well do you know me?
I don't know.
Why do you think that would put me off?
You sound young and enlightened and not homophobic.
I'm 24. It doesn't put me off him. I could go into a long discussion about that, but I won't do that right now.
No, that's fine. I would argue it should put you off him, but that's my position. It doesn't have to be yours. He's also been in bed with a sort of Christian organisation that has campaigned against abortion rights. Yeah,
I am against abortion.
Well, Stephen Crabb's your man, Grace. 12:54 is the time. Alex is in Finchley. I'm against abortion. Alex, what would you like to say?
I wasn't expecting that on the last call.
No, nor was I, but there you go, all sorts.